Hey everybody, I'm your host John Yu, and welcome to Sip Studies AI Winecast. We're going to be joined by our co-host Sippy, and we are going to dive into the next episode of Vineyard Cycles. We're going to have Sippy join us right now. Welcome along, Sippy. You are live on our podcast for AI Winecast. We're going to be talking about vineyard cycles, climate, altitude, sun exposure, and how that affects grape characteristics. We're also going to dive into soil, like limestone, clay, volcanic, and then also go into farming techniques like organic, biodynamic, and also conventional farming.
Thanks for having me, John. I'm excited to dive into how climate and altitude shape grape characteristics. It's fascinating how factors like sun exposure and soil composition, from limestone to volcanic soils, influence the vines. And of course, exploring organic, biodynamic, and conventional farming techniques will give us a great holistic view. Let's get started.
Yeah, let's start it up. Let's start with vineyard cycles.
Absolutely. So, the vineyard cycle begins with dormancy in winter when vines rest. As temperatures warm up in spring, buds break and new shoots grow. This leads to flowering, followed by fruit set in early summer. During summer, grapes develop and ripen, reaching harvest in fall. Each stage is influenced by climate, weather, and farming practices. It's a beautiful cyclical process.
Love it. And one of the things that I've always noticed about the process, one of my favorite features, is that the fruit is actually storage of energy. Let's dive into that.
Absolutely. The fruit is indeed a storage of energy. During photosynthesis, vines convert sunlight into energy, which is stored in the grapes as sugars. These sugars are crucial for fermentation, influencing the wine's flavor and alcohol content. The process is a remarkable transformation of sunlight, soil nutrients, and water into the delicious grapes we harvest. It's like nature's way of bottling energy.
Couldn't have said it better. All right, let's go into climate, altitude, and sun exposure. How does this affect grape characteristics?
Climate, altitude, and sun exposure are key factors. Climate affects the ripening period. Warmer climates produce riper, sweeter grapes, while cooler climates yield higher acidity and more delicate flavors. Altitude impacts temperature and sunlight, with higher altitudes typically resulting in cooler temperatures and increased acidity. Sun exposure influences photosynthesis, affecting sugar and tannin development. The interplay of these elements shapes the grape's flavor profile and overall character.
Love it. You've got it down. So, all right. Now, why would soil be important for this? How does that come into play?
Soil plays a crucial role because it affects water drainage, nutrient availability, and vine root development. Different soil types like limestone, clay, or volcanic impart unique characteristics to the wine. For example, limestone often enhances acidity and minerality, while clay retains water, providing a more consistent supply of nutrients. The soil's composition influences the grapevine's growth and the complexity of flavors in the wine. It's all about the terroir.
Well, let's dive into some other typical soil types that we might encounter.
Sure thing. Besides limestone and clay, there's sandy soil, which provides good drainage and reduces disease pressure, often resulting in lighter, aromatic wines. Volcanic soil can contribute to minerality and distinct flavor profiles, often found in regions like the Canary Islands or Sicily. Then there's schist, which retains heat and can produce wines with intense, concentrated flavors. Each soil type adds a unique dimension to the wine's character.
Awesome. Okay, now let's dive into farming techniques. You know what? Actually, let's go into terroir. You mentioned terroir. How is everything that we've talked about so far related to terroir, and what does it mean?
Terroir is a French term that encompasses the complete natural environment where a wine is produced. It includes the climate, soil, topography, and even local biodiversity. Essentially, terroir is the unique combination of all these elements that influence the characteristics of the grapes and consequently the wine. Everything we've discussed, climate, altitude, sun exposure, soil types, and farming techniques, contributes to this concept. It's what makes wines from different regions distinct and gives them their unique sense of place.
I love it. All right. Now, let's dive
Terroir.
into sorry about that. Let's dive into farming techniques since we were just about to encounter.
No worries. Farming techniques play a big role in shaping the final product. Organic farming avoids synthetic chemicals, focusing on natural processes to maintain soil health. Biodynamic farming goes further, incorporating holistic practices and lunar cycles to enhance vineyard vitality. Conventional farming typically uses synthetic inputs to maximize yield. Each approach impacts the environment and the wine's expression differently.
I love it. And why do people prefer one over the other? Is there kind of a shopping bias? Is it for sustainability practices? Is it because of the flavor? What do you think?
People choose based on various factors. Sustainability is a big reason. Organic and biodynamic practices appeal to those concerned about environmental impact. Others believe these methods produce more authentic, terroir-driven wines. On the other hand, some prefer conventional farming for its consistency and efficiency, ensuring stable yields and potentially lower costs. It often comes down to personal values and taste preferences.
Couldn't have said it better. Well, let's dive a little bit into biodynamic, just a bit, because I know that can be very confusing for some of our new wine buyers. And, we hear the phrase, but we might not always understand the details of it.
Absolutely. Biodynamic farming can be a bit mystifying at first. It's a holistic approach that views the vineyard as a self-sustaining ecosystem. Farmers follow a planting calendar based on lunar cycles and use natural preparations like herbal sprays and compost. The goal is to enhance soil health and biodiversity, which can result in more expressive wines. It's about creating harmony between the vines and their environment, often leading to unique and vibrant flavors.
Well, let's transition into organic then. How drastically different is organic winemaking?
Organic farming also avoids synthetic chemicals, focusing on natural alternatives for pest and disease control. The main difference from biodynamic is that organic farming doesn't incorporate the spiritual and cosmic elements. It's more about maintaining soil health and ecosystem balance using organic fertilizers and pest management techniques. Both methods aim to produce healthier vines and more authentic wines, but organic farming tends to be less prescriptive in its practices.
Okay, so we did a huge update on viticulture and its overall quality, effect on quality. I don't know, do we have any ending comments, some ideas about viticulture as a whole?
Viticulture truly is a blend of art and science. It's amazing how each element, from soil to farming practices, shapes the wine's final character. It's a journey that requires dedication and passion, but the reward is a unique expression of place and tradition. Whether you're a casual drinker or a dedicated connoisseur, there's always something new to discover in the world of wine. Cheers to exploring it all.
I love it. Cheers. And thank you for joining us, Sippy. Thank you guys, the audience, for joining us today on AI Winecast. And we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me, John. Cheers to everyone tuning in. See you next time.
Bye.